the mixing video or a different one. Let's go with the mixing video. All right, so today we are going to be doing a beat mix from scratch. What's good, you guys? It's Lifestyle from lifestyledidit.com. As I said, we're going to mix a beat from scratch to finish. I'm going to show you guys the beat right now, and we're going to take it literally from zero and mix it all the way through. Let's get into it. So hopefully this mic stand doesn't move halfway through the video and I don't notice and we can't hear my voice anymore. But this is the beat. So it obviously needs to be mixed a lot. So as you can hear, there's a lot that needs to be done to this beat. There's a lot of processing. There's a lot of effects that need to happen to give it a tone. And really, this beat was something I made and haven't mixed yet. So as you can see, I just have my leveling from the actual beat itself, right? And then that's about it. I have the vocal turned down in here, but for the most part, the beat's not even really leveled out yet. So we're literally going to start this beat mix from scratch. And before we dive into mixing, I want to let you guys know that I do have a completely free drum kit called Ammo out. If you guys haven't got that yet, go on the site. They'll leave a link in the description to get Ammo. It's a free drum kit. Everyone's loving it right now. And I also just dropped a brand new loop kit called Axiom. So check that out too. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to do is literally just get nice levels going. And I swear this mic stand is going to be the death of me. So if I go ahead and press play, really everything's kind of like these vocals need to be way down. This pad needs to be the main forefront. The kick and 808 need to be hitting more. So what I like to do is find a part in the beat where everything's playing. So let's go here, right? And the first thing I'm going to do is actually just check all my levels and make sure that I have headroom on each track. This is going to depend on yourself, honestly. Some people like to do -6 at the highest peaking dB. Some people like -12, -3. It doesn't matter as long as we're staying under 0 and we're leaving headroom. So since I know my kick's the loudest, that's probably the one I'm going to pay attention most to. And I'm also going to go through here and make sure none of these are all the way down at like -40 dB, because then it's going to be really hard to get it louder later if I want to boost after effects instead of pre, right? So what I mean by that is this is pretty quiet. I already want this to be louder, so I'm just going to actually go in here and give it some more gain. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go through, give these a good amount of gain, make sure they're not clipping and not too low, and then I'm actually going to do some fader mixing, and then we're going to get into all the EQ and processing. So I'm going to just go through here and check all my levels. So the kick has some headroom. That's fine. Everything was pretty good. Let's check that guitar too. Let's see if that guitar is quiet. Give it a little more gain on the guitar and the pad, because I could turn them down later, right? But if I had it all the way down at like -40 and then later I wanted to bring the volume way up, I don't have much room to play here, and I could do it with plugins and stuff, but might as well start from the beginning and actually get some good levels. So now that we have that, what I'm going to do is actually throw my kick in mono. Usually I throw my 808 in mono too, but this is actually a stereo source for the sine wave, and I actually like how it sounds. It has a little bit of side information on it, so I'm actually going to keep it, but 99% of the time I'm throwing my 808 in mono, but this is more of like a sine bass, not like a short 808, so I like how this sounds in stereo. So I'm actually going to throw my mix into mono, the whole thing on the master track. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to put an EQ, and I'm going to just, before I'm going to mix into a few things. So the first thing I want to mix into is an EQ rolling off 20 hertz, because we can't hear below that. Most systems don't pick that up. So I'm going to roll off 20 hertz on the master, and I'm also going to put a tiny bit of saturation on it so I can mix into it. So I'm going to turn down the wow and flutter. It's literally going to be a very small amount of saturation. I'm going to mix into it so that I can hear what it's doing, and it kind of gives it an analog sound, since this is an analog saturation, right? But I'm not using it after the fact and throwing it on the master at the very end, because then it will change what I'm hearing with the mix. So a good thing to do is to kind of mix into some stuff. A lot of people will have a little bit of compression or something on the master, and they'll be mixing into it, so they're hearing what happens to all the other tracks while they're all running through here. But like I said, I'm using a very small amount. If I go ahead and press play, meters are barely moving. I'm just using a little bit of saturation and mixing into it. So what I'm going to do is actually have it in mono, so it won't sound too good to you guys, and I'm going to turn my headphones down a little bit, and I'm just going to get some basic leveling going on. So I know I want my kick pretty loud, 808. Let's see which, gotta hear these snares real quick. Okay, that's the main one. So this is like accent snare. I know I want this vocal way down, this one too. These are gonna be EQ later anyways. All right, let me turn my headphones up a little bit. So basic leveling is all I'm doing. And then right off the jump, the vocals are just kind of annoying me. I know that I don't want all that high end in it. I knew when I created the beat. So I'm gonna just go in here and cut the high end out. Let's do it on here too. I want these tucked back. Okay, now I can hear a little bit more. Levels are sounding good so far. Let's throw it back in stereo. Okay, now I'm gonna start making some EQ moves. The first thing I'm gonna do is clean up this pad. Go in here. And what I'm doing now after I do my basic levels, so that's the first part. 90% of a good mix is levels. So now that I have it leveled out and kind of have an idea of how I want it to sound with just volume leveling, I'm going to start doing some EQ, some compression, and then we'll get into some different types of effects. But definitely on this pad, I want to free up some space in the low end and low mids to let that bass breathe, because it's following the core notes of this pad anyway. So I'm just going to let the bass line go ahead and take that. So just free up some space. You see how I did a boost before to hear where it's clashing and took it out, and this is a lot better when you're in mono. So let's hear this vocal. I'm gonna take out this. This is just an accent vocal. I want to add some reverb on this vocal too. It's fully wet. You can hear what's going on better. Cool. I want to add some delay on this vocal too. Oops, wrong one. Let's go over here, get H delay. Let's do a quarter note. Ping pong. Let's hear it by itself. Let's bring our feedback down a little bit. This mic stand is literally terrible. Alright, I actually want to take some more high end out of it, so I'm gonna go do a high cut. Go to the next vocal. So right now, this is all preference. I could have kept those vocals having high end in them, but I want the beat to be dark and I want to tuck them back. So this is kind of preference moves, at least for the vocal, I would say. You can either keep them bright or have them dark. For me, I want these to be tucked back. So I'm going to do another EQ, or sorry, reverb on this vocal as well. This one I want to have a very long reverb on it. I'm also going to throw like a chorus on it. And I'm gonna just listen to it in solo real quick so I can hear what it's doing. So sounding good, and then I'm actually going to put a widener on it. Cool, so let's widen it out. I want to widen the pad a little bit too before do anything else. Cool. So now let's go over here and focus on these drums real quick, and I'm gonna solo them just so you can hear what they sound like in the video, but it's always good to, you know, have all of your tracks playing at once so that you can really hear what's going on in the mix. I just want you guys to be able to hear this first. So I'm gonna actually bring up this 808 a little bit. And what I want to do to this 808 right off the bat, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple more things in here, we'll bring the pad in, is I want to add some saturation to it. And I'm going to go ahead and go with Decapitator. And I want to add in some beef to it. I want to beef it up. You could already hear what that's doing, right? If we do before and after. Before. I love this setting. The Neve setting is cool too. There's a bunch of different styles down here, but this already sounded good. It gave me what I want. It gave me a little bit more beef to it, and it gave me a little bit of high end, which I like too, and it gave me a little bit of saturation on the top of that. Added some harmonics. The kick to me sounds good. I like how the kick sample sounds by itself. I'm not sure if I want to clip it. I think just the leveling of it sounds good. Because I could use a clipper, I feel like it'd just be too aggressive. It's already hitting nicely. But definitely what I want to do is I want to move a little bit of the frequencies on the 808 out when the kick hits. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is find out where my kick's really hitting, right? Where the real fundamentals of it are, which are going to be about right here on this kick. So be in that 55 to 63 range for this specific kick, so I kind of know where it's hitting. Like I said, there's not too much clashing going on necessarily, but what I want to do is just kind of move it out of the way, the 808 out of the way when the kick hits, just a tiny bit so that it can have more punch. So I'm actually going to get the peak controller and just put it on the kick. I'm going to go over to the 808 and I'm going to get an EQ, and I'm going to move this band over, make sure I'm not doing anything with it. I'm going to get the second band, and I'm actually going to go over to about 60 hertz where I said, and let's go right here and link to controller. Let's do inverted, link it to peak, change this to 0.5. You know the deal, you know how this goes if you've seen this before. And let's make it a bit steeper, or a bit more narrow, sorry, not steeper. And then let's go over here to the peak controller and have them both up, and I'm going to adjust my tension and decay. I want it to be fast. Just want it to move quick, and I don't want too much going, maybe like 2-3 dB. So like I said, they weren't really clashing, so I'm not moving it a lot, and I'm not really sidechaining for any other reason than I personally want the kick to just have a little bit more beef to it when it punches through the 808. So I'm just going to move a little bit out of the 808 instead of boosting on the kick, because for me, there's no reason to boost when I can take away from something and make something stand out and sound better. Because if I were to boost 60 on that kick, it's going to change the tone of it a little bit. You know, we're boosting a specific hertz and a specific frequency on the kick, so it'll kind of start to change the tone, and I like the tone of it. I just want the 808, because they play together, to just kind of move out the way and really let that kick shine a little bit more. So I could have left it alone, but I think it sounded good. So the next thing I actually want to do is come over to this snare, and I really want to beef it up. So we have two different snares, right? We got this snare and we got this snare. Well, on this snare, I actually want to just make it gross and blend it in. So what I'm actually going to do is come over here, and I'm going to go in here and get I Heart New York, which is a dope plugin by Baby Audio. And I'll have some links in the description. They gave me some affiliate links if you guys want to check it out. And we're going to use this as an easy way to do some parallel processing, which is really cool. So instead of setting up a compressor, linking it all to a submix, and then, you know, throwing a compressor on it, slamming it and blending it back in, we get this easy New York styled parallel compression plugin. And there's the spank knob, which is obviously showing you how much really how much compression you want to be happening, how crazy you want the signal to, in their terms, be spanked, I guess. which is an interesting term. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna make it slap. And then over here we can actually blend it in, and then we have a solo knob to listen to it. So I'm actually going to just press play on it, and I'm gonna show you what can happen. So let's blend this in. See how much parallel compression it adds? Let's back it off. And we can solo it and just listen to what it's doing. So that's the sound that it's creating with the parallel compression. And then we can use this to blend it in. So it makes it very easy. We skip a bunch of steps. So let's go ahead and blend it in. And let's go ahead and bring in our drums and blend it in with it. It's way too much. Let's bring the output down. Okay, that's sounding dope. Let's bring our hi-hat down a tiny bit. Let's go over to this snare. On this snare, I want to add a clipper to it. So I'm going to get JST clip. I'm going to clip it and then blend it in. Sounding good. And actually, before the clipper, let me go ahead and just show you guys the drums. I want to add an EQ on it, cut out a little bit of low end, and give it a nice boost around the 200 to 250 range. Usually around 220, 250, you're going to hear a lot of thump and snares. This is a little too muddy. I actually want to boost it a bit down here by that 250 range. So let's go ahead and bring it up just by maybe about 2 dB. Let's give it a little bit more bite, usually around 5K, 6K, 7K. Just a tiny bit more, and we'll give it a little bit of presence, a little bit of air around 10K, nothing too crazy. And then we have it going into our clipper. And then let's see. It's a little bit too loud, so since we boosted on the EQ, we need to take away probably about 2 dB, and then we'll go over to the clipper and trim it back a little bit too. Put it back in mono. I'm actually gonna EQ out a little bit more on this pad that I hear clashing, like a 500 range. 400, 500. All right, let's get a little cut right here and just boost a little bit of high end. Sounding good. I like how these drums sound a lot. These drums sound really nice. And then we have this riser right here. So let's go ahead. Oh, I forgot about the guitar actually. Let's put the guitar in, even though it doesn't play with it. It's in the intro. So actually we'll just loop over here and we'll listen to the guitar. Completely forgot that I didn't have that in the hook. I only had it in the intro. So let's go ahead and mess with this guitar. Let's put it back in mono. On the guitar, let's see. I want to cut out a lot of low end, a little bit of high end. I kind of want this guitar tucked too. I want it to be kind of a little bit thin and kind of dark. And then I'm actually going to put a delay on it, and we're going to use a dope delay called Comeback Kid by Baby Audio as well. Again, there's a link in the description for these. And I want to do probably like an eighth note with some feedback, widen it out. They have a bunch of settings on here. It's really good. We could shape it, and it's actually going to shape the delay that's happening. So I'll kind of show you guys what this sounds like. Let's go ahead and press play. So let's give it more feedback so you can really hear what's going on. Right? Watch what happens. So we could darken it. Take out some low end. I want to take out low end. I want to have the delays have more high end to them with less low end so that they can kind of fade away to the side. And then we can actually take out we could actually take out the attack from the delays too, which is really dope. So the feedback we're getting after the initial one hits, and then we get the delay and the feedback signal, we could take the attack away from the delay so they're kind of like softer and distant, which is really dope. Watch what happens if we add it. And if we take it away, I might go with a quarter note. Let me play it, and I'm going to start messing with more of these settings and see what I could get. Yeah, I think I like a quarter note better. I don't want to do anything dotted. I just want a straight quarter note. And then I want to turn the ping pong setting on because I actually want it to go from left to right. And the only other thing I want to add to this guitar is some type of chorus to it. And then the last thing we have is the riser. So let's go ahead and level out this riser. So I'm going to EQ out a little bit of low end. I'm going to tuck it back a little bit. Let's bring it up in volume, widen it out. All right, so the only other thing I want to do is kind of bring these snares down a little bit, the hi-hat as well, and we should be good. So now let's listen to the mix. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like this video, leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to go download the free ammo drum kit and make sure to check out Axiom, which is the brand new loop kit as well. You guys can follow me on all social medias at LifestyleDidIt. Make sure to hit my site lifestyledidit.com for everything else. Other than that, subscribe to your boy, push notifications. Thanks.